Oh shit, I didn't realize there were people there yet. My bad. What is going on, everybody? Mario Mungia here. Infighting Exchange, Infighting FX is what you'd put in a search bar if you wanted to look it up on IG, X, YouTube, TikTok, and or Twitch. Shout out to Mex and Matt already in the chat. What do you know about that? Keep me entertained, champ. Got uh what? Voil? More? I don't understand what the word he was trying to spell. Damn, champ. How long you been on the road for this one? You know, the most my uncle did was 18 hours. I don't think I've ever told you, Max. My uncle he worked for a big company, huge company in Texas. I forget the name. And then after like I think 6-7 years riding for them, he started his own business with his own truck. And so like my niece, my cousin, she's actually older than me. My cousin became like his dispatcher, and then he got another smaller truck that my uncle, or not my uncle, his brother, my cousin's uncle, started running. And then my cousin, when he graduated with his CDL, he got hooked up with him. So you know what I'm saying? It was like crazy shit. A couple more hours, that's all good. Don't text and drive, kids. Abso-fucking-lutely. Listen to the man with the plan. Listen to professionals when they give you professional advice, the kind that could save your life. I'll be honest, I don't think that I'm rhyming. I think I'm having a stroke because literally none of those things were intentional. So might be having a stroke. Who knows? Champ. Shout out to Machine Gun Matt. Always right about everything he picks. Didn't he say Holloway first round? I think he did. I literally think he did. I think he said, I think if so we were talking about the fact that like this fight could go one of two ways. And I swear he said Holloway first round. I didn't even know WWE had a jet. Shout out to you, Alex, for being way younger than me. Nice. Although if you want to look as young as I do at my age, get a vasectomy. No, I'm just kidding. No, I shoot blanks. So the thing about it is that WWE has a jet, but by the time this is actually posted on YouTube, well, I'm live on YouTube. Boy, I'm a moron. But by the time that it's posted for repost on YouTube, there's a good chance it could be sold. WWE does have a jet. Those of you that will remember Vince trying to flex on all of us on that magazine cover when he was clearly on steroids still. And he's posing in front of the jet with, at the time it had the Attitude logo on it. You know, just like, I've never bought a Playgirl, but I imagine the way that Vince was posed in front of that jet is the kind of images that you'd find in Playgirl. Although I'm not gonna lie, I had my heart broken last week. My wife was working, and she'll like keep stuff on in the background, you know, like the way people do in offices with radios back in the day when people used radio. That's how she uses streaming platforms. And so she's watching some show. I think it's like a she likes like killer, like investigating, you know what I mean, type shows. So it's probably something like that. And for some reason they were talking about Playgirl, and she told me that I think it was one of the B footage stocks was the Shawn Michaels Playgirl, the Playgirl for which Shawn Michaels posed and was the centerfold for. He had the cover, I think, that same year, cover and centerfold, if I'm not mistaken. And she was like, yeah, he was on there. And then she goes, I can see the appeal. Or she said something like that. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? No, Shawn Michaels has a cross-eyed. Ariel trying to dispute the UFC again, this time using Paulo Costa to push his fighter rights agenda and using Shakur Stevenson's deal to try to make Paulo say bad things about UFC pay. Ugh. You know, Alex, I'll be honest. I don't. Okay. I'm not saying you're wrong that Ariel has a narrative that he pushes, right? I'm not saying that narrative is right or wrong. I do agree. Here's what he's not wrong about. Fighter pay is an issue. It's always been an issue, and it will always be an issue because the fighter's pay issue works two ways, right? So like right now in UFC, the argument by people that are, in the know is that, there's like a straight up monopoly, right? There's nowhere for the fighters to compete, and therefore all they'll be able to take is what the UFC dictates, right? But that puts a cap on how much a fighter can be worth. At the same time, it puts a total cap on fighters, on like what they make, right? And so the reason that's important is because you look at boxing, and that conversation's on the other side. The fighter pay got too high. Fighters were getting too much money for shit fights, right? The competition was not worth the money. When you looked at the market and you said, what kind of money am I getting for what kind of fights? The differential between top dollar and top fights began to drop, to the point now that boxing, one of its biggest problems is that the fighters, there's no networks willing to pay the kind of money that they'd have to pay fighters, right, to fight. And I talked about this a long time ago, dude, like on the Boxing Voice, and never talked about it again because people got their buttholes hurt so bad, like literally men crying. I was reading a book by, oh fuck, what's that guy's name that used to do the Ali shtick with him? He was a reporter, and he talked like this: down goes Frazier, down goes Frazier. Burned in my mind. I could do the impression. Howard Cosell. No. Yes. Is it Howard? I feel like that's exactly what it is. Howard Cosell, I think it was. Some of you may know this. Some of you are going to be like, who the fuck is that? And to that I'd say, you're not younger than me. You're dumber than me. Or not as long a fan or exposed as I. Howard Cosell. Thank you. Howard Cosell. I knew it. And so anyway, Howard Cosell is like this big boxing fan, right? Huge boxing fan. He helped make Ali one of the biggest stars in the world. He also got over oh my god. I cannot believe I was forgetting this name. Roberto Duran. Dude, when you're getting old when you're struggling to think of Roberto Duran's name. Jesus Christ. Or maybe you just smoked too much weed. And so he was like this, famous guy who helped make boxing what it was at the time, which is competitive with the three major sports. In fact, probably the premier sport at the time, right? Like now, if you've grown up anytime, if you're like 20 to 30, you have no idea that there was an era of time where football wasn't the dominant sport and basketball and baseball weren't these dominant sports. I mean, baseball probably longer, but basketball, football, like these two sports were not premier sports in America back in, the 50s, 40s. Like they became what they became today. And names like Howard Cosell are responsible for that. And I say all that because you would think there'd be no bigger proponent than Howard Cosell. And yet at the end of his career, he said that he hated boxing and boxing should be banned, and that we should all get comfortable with the idea of it going away someday because it's not worth it. And everybody was pissed. All the boxing people, all the fans, because like, oh, you old ass man who covered your sport for so long. Now you're going to tell us that this sport should be banned so that we can't make a fucking living, right? It was kind of that narrative. And the thing that Howard Cosell was saying wasn't that boxing is just this brutal sport that just should be banned. Not at all. That's not what he was saying. What he was saying was the idea of what boxing is worth will change over time based on the conception and realization of the fighter that they are performing a much more dangerous feat than they ever understood. When you're a kid and your dad or mom or both throw you into a ring, you don't question whether it's safe, just like you don't question when they throw you into the pool to swim. That is all part of just trusting what your parents do. But when you become Earl Spence, when you become Bud Crawford, when you become Floyd Mayweather, you know what happens then? You realize, hey, I'm in a fucking dangerous sport and I deserve to be catered to. I deserve my rightful piece of the pie. Dana is not putting his life on the line. Bob's not putting his life on the line. De La Hoya, Eddie, I'll go down. This isn't a single situation. This is a broad interpretation. Okay? Once you realize what it's worth, then you know, hey, no, that fight is dangerous and it's worth more. Just like Mex. Mex is driving right now, and whatever he's making, right? He doesn't have to tell us, but whatever he's making, I don't want him to tell us. I'm saying whatever he's making right now would be more if he wasn't carrying hazardous waste or hazardous cargo, right? So people that carry hazardous cargo, as opposed to the drivers that deliver toilet paper, neither is less important, right? I mean, unless you want to tell us you're not wiping your ass, go ahead. Then you're disgusting. I don't think anybody's going to invite you to the barbecue. But saying that both of those are vital to society is not the same as saying those two things are the same job, because you don't run into another car with toilet paper and just fucking explode in a way that hurts everybody, nearby, right? That doesn't happen to toilet paper. So when a boxer realizes, hey, I deserve hazard pay, then what that hazard pay becomes is not necessarily, oh, well, then we're going to increase what you make. It is and it isn't. It is in the sense that we're giving you more for doing less. Because I'll be honest, I don't think the Spence fight with Homeboy coming up at the end of the month is that big of a fight in terms of like the reflection of what, like, where he was fighting Bud Crawford, right? It's more of a, I would say it's between a tune-up fight and a not a stay busy. That's too no. It's between a stay busy fight and like a big test, right? And the only reason people consider it a big test is because where Earl is at this point in his career, right? So Zoo gets that. So he gets that pass for Zoo. But is the fight worth the money that the people are putting into it? I don't know. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. All I'm saying is that Al and PBC and some of these entities have gone a long way of making boxing unaffordable for people to invest in, right? Dana doesn't have that problem. And so there is, again, a two-way argument that you can make, saying that you should have a cap on what fighters can make to a degree, in the same way that the NFL does, in the same way that MLB does, right? I mean, that's a franchise tag for MLB, but still it's the same general principle, right? The market can't explode to the point where we can't afford to pay all these people. And yet there's a tier system, right? So whatever the star makes in boxing and MMA ends up being the cap, as opposed to NFL and basketball and MLB, where whatever the star makes is the thing to exceed, right? So when Patrick Mahomes or whoever the fuck, Allen, whatever quarterback is ready to get his new deal, the market dictates what he's worth. And the market suggests, well, this is what the highest paid quarterback is making. So what do you represent at this time? The highest valued quarterback free agent at this time, right? And so there are so many aspects to that, where you have agents, managers, the NFL's player association, all these entities trying to cater to this very, very big, complex issue. And in boxing and in MMA, you have a couple of people that are like basically the say-sos of it. That, I think, is a problem. So it's not that I think Ariel has a reason and a good reason to be attacking. I'm saying his general point isn't wrong, right? And it's not wrong because it's never wrong, because there's always an issue with it. Wipe your kids' asses. Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. If they're not wiping their own ass, are they wiping their kids? Doubtful. The UFC pay scale is designed to increase over time. By the time the Paramount deal ends, fighter pay will jump. Fighters need to comprehend that. Sure, that is easy to say, but it's also easy for me to dismantle, right? Like, I'm not the guy who comes on here who just wants to argue everything. Not at all. I am the guy, though, who wants to always make sure that we're all on the same side, which is that we want quality fights, but like, we're not saying the fighters shouldn't be making what they make, right? So it's not a question of whether they're getting paid what they're worth or not. It's a question of who determines that, and why on earth anyone like Dana or Eddie or Bob should be the proprietor of that, right? Like it should not work that way. That is not how free market. And that's the other part of this. Like, how American is the UFC company? It's like a monopoly. You know what I mean? It's not a free American trade where these fighters and wrestlers too, by the way, because you can lump in TKO now. These are general contractors. Like hey, Mex gets a contract to drive a haul from one place to another, right? And he's a contractor, and so he's not liable to the company in any other way than in that contract. And so then he does his job, and then 48 hours after the job, he tweets something, and then the company says, we're taking that money back. You work for us. There's a libel clause. Like, Mex is like, I fucking did your job. What are you talking about? I'm not beholden to you. That was a contract. Why the fuck does it work like that in every business in America except for in combat sports? Fucking bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck. Like, it's a more of a thing. Like, what do these people do to get ready for the fight, to do the thing? So maybe they are worth the outrageous money they get paid. But then it goes back to what Howard Cosell was saying. It's not a means of boxing being too brutal. It's a means of boxing being so corrupt that it cannot in any way, shape, or form meet the standards of what boxers and or combat fighters deserve, right? They deserve humanity, first of all, but second of all, a wage that's able to carry them, right? If you have 20 professional fights, how is it that you don't have enough money? I mean, that's like what, like, well, I guess that's only like 4 years of work if you're just fighting. And actually it could be even less if you get the gas put on, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is that the tier system in boxing works in a way that people value what's the word? Their stardom, and that level of stardom is immeasurable at times, right? I mean, yes, you could use metrics and data, right? But it's like, that's why, like, you know what? Me and Max used to talk about this a lot. Like, I used to watch PBD all the time. I did, right? And the thing that got me to start the very first crack, this was like maybe 6 years ago. I'm a numbers guy. And then the numbers would reflect something different. And he changes a pin. And I'm like, this isn't a fucking numbers guy. This is a fucking plug. This is a motherfucking, somebody got him on tape kissing boys or something. He don't want that to come out, so he's going to say whatever they want him to say. You know what I'm saying? What year do you think the MLB lockout will be, more? Helwani at Alex. Heelwani. That's what his name is. Alex, fighters have a limited window to get paid. They don't have time to wait around. Very good point, Mex. Very good point. Because it's like, who determines any of what is, like, the UFC has made their money. That's not to say that they're paid, right? Because there's plenty of aspects of contract law for which something that, a company or somebody who runs a company can do something that, provokes a clause, a morality clause or something like that, right? And there are like variations of that kind of stuff, right? So like, there's no saying that the UFC, and this Paramount deal, in 5 years ends up being what it was going to be. And so then you can ask, how can the UFC be expected to shoulder the full financial responsibility at the snap of a finger, even though that's not how the contract plays out? I would argue that keeping your most popular fighters happy, is the way to do that. Letting a fighter go down to the countdown because you're trying to keep them on an old contract. That's what shitty NFL owners do, right? To try to like weasel out of pain at the time to hopefully allow the market to reevaluate that quarterback, running back, safety, whatever the fuck. And so that's such a great point, because you have that window, and that window isn't just, hey, he has X amount of years to be in his prime. That window also says, how many opportunities do you have at, X point in your career, right? Like Amir Khan, you could argue if he had less options in his career, he would have fucking turned out better. He probably wouldn't have been waiting around so long for some of these fighters that never fought him. Why doesn't anyone complain about WWE pay? They do. What are you talking about? All the time. Everybody complains. That's the whole point about the player, about the contractor, right? Like if your question is why don't they complain about how much they get paid, that's a different question to how they get paid, right? Them being contractors means that they're not making, them being contractors who are under contract mean that they're not making the most they could be making right now. It's not that their WWE isn't paying them enough. It's that if WWE was any other company in the world, in any other industry, then that person would be allowed to make money off of Twitch. That person would be allowed to make money off their socials the way that they want. Those people would be allowed to merchandise their shit the way they want. And of course, there's the argument, oh, well, the, intellectual property belongs to WWE. Fine, that's fair. But at the end of the day, the contractor aspect of the contract does not exist like any other. And that's the other part. We can't have this debate until that part. When it comes to wrestling, we can't have this debate until that part is answered. Why do their contracts exist different from contractors? Because I've been a contractor before. Not many times in my life, but I've worked for contractors, I should say, and I've been contracted in my life. What I can tell you is this: it's a tough fucking life, bro. It's a tough fucking life to not have that security, right? And you could do even better as a contractor, for sure, depending on what field you're in or whatever. But again, like, the security of it all, down points. Like, you got a job, you're going to get paid that salary, right? But you got to market, and then all of a sudden, it's 80 degrees everywhere now for, that's the coldest it gets. They ain't going to need your snow plow no more. So what the fuck are you going to do anyway? But it doesn't work that way, right? Like, they ain't going to take care of you. So, I mean, I don't know. If you look at CM Punk, he said everything that everyone has been saying about contract work in WWE, right? The difference is he's getting paid very handsomely now. So it's like, it works the way it works. Like, because at the end of the day, it's not like you're going to kill the biz, because no one complains until your pay is cut in wrestling. Very, very good point, right? And so it's like, complain takes on a whole new meaning now. Complain in what sense? Because Hogan left. Would that not be a complaint on his contract and his pay when he left back in the mid-90s to WCW? Would not Bryan Danielson's own contract, because you could argue that, he wanted to do the wrestling thing and be more of a wrestler, fair, but you're not going to tell me he wouldn't have stayed if they would have given them X amount of dollars, right? So, I mean, ultimately, it is about pay, I guess, every time. Technically, I'm not trying to win a debate. I'm not even trying to sell this point. Matt brought it up and it just struck my brain, and now I can't stop thinking about it. Because WWE has downside guarantees. Very good point. Play genders. That was a good one. So listen, I want to talk about a couple of things here. I have limited time. We got Raw tonight. Also, the Home Run Derby. Man, I wish people cared about it again. Oh, well, nobody gives a shit. But we still give a shit here on Infighting FX. We still remember the days of Josh Alexander with his tattoos and meth holes on his arm, just banging them out of, where were they? Were they in Anaheim? I don't remember where they were, but whatever. We love it. So we're going to go watch it here in a little bit, but I did want to go live because I wasn't going to be live during Raw. And there's a couple things to talk about. Let me first pull this thing up. Okay. So first of all, let's do the McGregor stuff real quick so we can knock it out. At the end of the day, I don't think this is going to take me super long. Shit, I hope I synced everything. We'll see. Okay, so Conor McGregor, if you did not watch was, there we go. Oh, I found it. Okay. He was absolutely devastated in his first round loss, technical decision or technical stoppage, I guess. Against Max Holloway. I'm going to show you where the injury occurred, although many have come out online to speculate that the knee looked a little more blown or a little blown prior to the fight. I It's so difficult to interpret that stuff. You know, like I can be honest about Fury Wilder. Wilder can't, but I can't. I can be honest. I can say Wilder lost that fight. And I can say that as it regards cheating, there's little to zero evidence that suggests that was the case. That's not to say that it's not possible. It is to say that if Wilder had evidence like he suggests, he would have shown it when, they gave him the chance to, and not wait for a movie to be the most propaganda bullshit that we've ever seen. So I say that to say that if I were to pull up a picture of Fury's glove, there would be aspects I couldn't explain. And that's because shadow and light and different aspects of photography and still imagery can play tricks, right? I can't tell you some of those things, but they do look weird. The glove looks weird. I'm not gonna say that's not the case. But here's what I'm gonna say as it regards McGregor's knee, and as it regards the Fury Wilder shit. There are way too many safeguards in place to have somebody have a torn ACL and go into the fight. That's first of all. Second of all, if he had a pre-existing injury or an injury that had just occurred, maybe like in the warm-up or the day before, maybe even shadow boxing at some point in the fight week, then you'd think that he wouldn't have come out with a round kick, the way he did, a flying fucking round kick around, and people were saying that that's a reason to suspect that his knee was blown, is because he went straight after him like that. And that was such a bad technical thing to do, right? That was such a bad strategy because the fight script wouldn't suggest that you're just going to take Max out. Like, what do you think? You're going to Aldo him? I don't think that's going to work, champ. The size parameters are different. You know what I mean? Let me see. I was crushed when Pudge lost in the finals of that derby. Oh, I know. That sucked. Shout out to your memory, though. You got a good one, champ. Don't let weed corrupt it. Shout out to Jalen Williams, dude. Oh my God. Yo. Thank you, Mex. Your boy was about to gloss over it. So Shakur gets signed, right? And I covered this. Shout out to everybody that was live with us, dude. 280. We were supposed to go on Match Show, and I found out not till after, or the next day, actually, Sunday, because I was on with StreamYard. And I found out if I start a stream before the person has created the stream code for theirs, I can't go live. So it wouldn't let me connect my show because it was already started, and Matt had created his show after my show began. So yeah, but I figured it out for next time. So fuck it. But yeah, dude, this is what ended up happening. This was crazy, bro. Yeah, that says Jalen fucking Williams. The Oklahoma City Thunder guard. Now, to be fair, Jalen Williams favors Shakur a little bit. And to be fair, there is a resemblance to a degree when you have bad, lighting and, cameras meant to capture action. And in those regards, I could say, yeah, maybe K-Dot and Bud can be mistaken for one another. But this is problematic, right? You're the UFC owned by the guy. And here's the thing, like, it's not like Dana does the fucking things, right? Like, I can look at this and say, not a big deal. It happens. It happens a lot, actually. I've never seen it happen on a boxing match, though, for a boxer that was signed to that. You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen De La Hoya fuck up Ryan Garcia's name. I'm just saying. Never. I don't remember, but I don't remember Bud's name or Shakur's name being fucked up on fight night, and or if they were just sitting in the crowd ever on a Top Rank or Matchroom show. Don't remember Canelo's ever getting messed up by his promoter. So I say all that to say this. I understand things happen, but the optics of the UFC, whose CEO for years has shitted on boxing, and don't get me wrong, they're in most of the time it's been reasons because he was right. You know what I mean? But there have been other things that he's nitpicked at that just, you know what I mean? Like he went on this crusade of why UFC or why MMA was better than boxing for like before the Fox deal. And that put him in a certain perspective with old school boxing fans that, you know, they're going to not trust him until they have a reason to trust him. And even though they're not watching McGregor's fight on Paramount on a Saturday night, I could tell you that this isn't the kind of stuff that anybody, you know, looks at and thinks top notch outfit, right? But here's the other part. Now you ask yourself, wait, so Dana doesn't really even know who Shakur is, probably. And Nick Khan's never even seen a Shakur fight, probably. So these guys are paying top dollar to people they don't even watch. You know, I mean, at this point, Blair Cobb should just go and rob the 7-Eleven. The fucking Zuffa would probably give him $1 million for it. Like at the end of the day, just get your name out there by pretending you're going to fight other people, and they'll just throw you a bag. They might mispronounce your name, but they'll throw you the bag. Zuffa's top guy, folks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they wouldn't mess up Connor's name. And you could say that's different. Well, then tell me how it's different. Because Shakur is not as valuable to them as Connor? Because do we want to say that? We can. It's probably the truth, but I don't know if we should. I don't know if I believe it. What do you mind Wilder? What do you mean Wilder has evidence? Remember, he had an autopsy. Yeah, he had an autopsy. That's a good one. Oh, man. Yeah, he was on that show. He's like, yeah, we're going to make the movie and the doc. And I'm like, bro, if you think anybody's going to give a shit about what you got going on, like 2 years removed from fighting, you better have that shit be coming out now, ski. I just throw Connor in with the young welterweight like Morales, or maybe bring Ravi up if I was UFC. It's ruthless, but it's the best move to pass the torch. You know, Alex, we had this conversation, and I asked you right after the show. I said, hey, dude, do you think, what the fuck? Do you think they should fulfill another fight or even try to run it back? And you said you were convinced that's the right move to go, even while acknowledging we could be waiting till 2029 for that fight. If you consider that it will take him 2 to 4 weeks to get in there with the orthoscopic surgeon that he'd want. Is that who performs a ACL tear? An orthoscopic? Babe. Ash. I'm sorry, did I bother you? Who performs the surgeries for like ACL tears and stuff, like on knees and elbow and shoulder joints? Orthopedic. That's what I said, right? Did I say that? Or did I say Tempur-Pedic? Like the mattress. One of them. Now I forgot what the fuck I was even talking about. Oh, yeah. You said that, so if we wait till he gets in with the best and then you give him a year timeline to be ready to train, right? Because that would be like at the end of surgery, end of recovery, and end of rehab. So that's another year. So then he's not ready for September, then September 2027. So then go into 2028. So if he doesn't fight by that year, right, which you'd think not being in the cage for a year or more, you'd want a hefty time, or you want to spend plenty of time before you got to get in there. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, champ. Alex, I think you're wrong on this one. I do. I don't ever really think you're wrong. I don't think anybody's wrong. ever. I mean, I know when I'm wrong because I know what I think, and then when I get proven wrong. But in this one, champ, I'm going to just respectfully disagree. I get your argument for passing the torch. I do. And there's nothing I could do to defeat that argument because it triumphs all. And if they are hemorrhaging money, or if Paramount is like, fuck that, you're giving us that Conor fight, then understood. Fine. Nothing to see here. Just trot them back out. But I don't think either of those are going to be the case. And so then you ask yourself, is he worth to do all this over again? Because the risk he shits the bed in the same kind of manner now does damage to your brand. There's no doubt that this fight's done damage to the UFC. And Alex was the first one to point it out. You talk about all the fans that McGregor brings to the table. Bro, that performance right there probably means like, 50 to 60% of them dudes aren't going to be tuning in to shit for the UFC for a while. And not even because they weren't real fans, they don't like fighting, but just because, like, I remember when the Cowboys lost, like, I didn't even want to watch football. Like, I didn't even want to watch kids play football for that entire summer. When Romo dropped that snap and bumbled that bitch and ran, and he was like feet away from sending us to, I think it was overtime, right? In the playoffs, in wild card against the Seahawks. Oh man, that was devastating. Bro, I couldn't watch football for a while. And I've seen a lot of soccer people saying the same thing, saying that their country lost and they're just like soccered out for a little bit. That could happen with MMA crowds. I'm telling y'all, that could happen with the McGregor's fans. So is it worth doing all that again? I don't think so. I don't think so. I really don't, because for you to put all of the money into this fight, and what are you really getting out of it? Because if you don't, and that's the other thing, like, who do we pass the torch to? What's a fight, one more fight you could give to Conor that exists in that time frame? It'd have to be the perfect fight, right? Like Henry Cejudo would have to come up to welterweight and start fucking winning fights, bro. Because who you give Conor after being out of the cage for a year, no sparring for a year, no working out other than rehabbing your bum leg for a year. By the way, Alex, I don't know if you heard Rogan wrong or if Rogan spoke wrong, but it was the same knee. It was the same knee. That was the exact same knee. In fact, I was watching the post show, and Rogan said that one of his not his suspicion, but he said he hypothesized the idea that McGregor did plan this simply to show everyone this needs no problem. The problem is it's like imagine I hurt my back trying to deadlift a PR, right? And so if I'm trying to deadlift a PR, that's probably like that's probably like 515, I think. It's 500. It's 500. Yeah, because I only ever got 495 up. If I'm going for a PR with deadlift, right? And I hurt my back at like 345, 415, or 405, it would be. Then I go through rehab, do all my stuff, and come back and put 600 pounds on the bar, and just to prove to y'all that I'm good. That don't make no sense, champ. You know what I mean? That don't make no sense. Like, to prove your knee is good, you're going to do a move that fucks up a lot of people's knees? Where's the logic in that? How about just win the fight, right? So it seemed like bullshit. He said it'll be in his documentary. Actually, when Oscar promoted an MMA fight, he was fucking names up with a script. Yeah, that is true. My bad. You're right. It was fucking names up with a script. Yo, but that doesn't really count though, because Oscar was probably had coke eyes. I've never had them myself, but I've heard it's very hard to read. UFC's best is to post nice and get best option, I think, is to post nice and get Conor in. Oh, play nice and get Conor in with Jake and do a Zuffa MVP co-promoted card and cash the chips in. That's actually not a bad plan. I actually don't hate that. I know a lot of people are going to be like, dude, come on. You're supposed to be an actual combat sports show. What are we doing talking about this? But I will say this. If you're Zuffa and you've already been doing a pretty decent job at putting, good cards together and good matchups, and having fun events, then here you go. Like, put a bunch of those guys that we should have been seeing, that should have been on free TV somewhere. The guys like Kane Sandoval, the guys like fucking what's his name, Jesse. The guy was like oh my god, what's the Mexican dude's name from California? Fuck, I forgot his name, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, those are the guys that should be being seen by people, that could have a fan base someday bigger than what it is now. So I think if you put Conor and McGregor, I think if you put McGregor and Jake Paul on a card to box each other at the main event, and you stick a bunch of potential Zuffa boxing stars underneath that card, then this is Conor not just paying off a single fighter by giving him the rub in a fight, but paying off an entire card. Yeah, you got to fight Jake Paul, but hey, now you get to punch him in the face, and you get to, get a bunch of people over. Maybe he put some of his own Irish cronies on there, right? Or some people that he believes should have a shot in boxing or whatever. John Cena shit, right? Ain't nobody gonna confuse John Cena with Conor McGregor. Let's be real on that. But let's have the Zuffa Conor McGregor Classic. Why did I break into an Irish accent there on accident? I think they should put Conor in the Hall of Fame and let him go from his fighter contract. And Matt has a completely different take on it. Yeah, no, I think that Matt, like usual, is being the rational person in the room, because that's probably the best bet. Here's the thing. If you're the UFC, do you need the headache anymore? Like, I'm not saying Conor isn't worth it if he can fight, but he can't fight. And he's not going to be able to even prove he can still fight for a really long time. Look, Conor's past and controversies didn't do a lot to... Well, I don't know if they did a lot. I guess we haven't seen the numbers yet. We don't know. A lot of people were talking about the sparse numbers at weigh-ins and pressers and stuff like that. So who knows? Who knows what kind of star Conor still was? But if you're UFC, you're bigger than one guy now. You're bigger than one guy now. You don't need this guy anymore. Especially if it's a risk of him being able to fight or put on a show, and it still is. Forget the injury. We've had other injuries that have been to the point where they were pulled. Like, this is their biggest fear with Conor, was him getting hurt and having to be taken out of the fight, right? And now we're in a position where what? He didn't fight, so their entire worst case scenario ended up coming true, even though they got through fight week. Like, they didn't know if he'd get through fight camp. Check. They didn't know if he'd get through fight week. Check. They didn't know if he'd make it through the weigh-in. Check. And then you get him to the building and you get his fucking hands wrapped and you slap them MMA gloves on him and you send him out there, and now you're like, whoo, oh my God. We did it. We got him out there. And then he pulls and then what happens, bro. You're like, okay, so there is no safety from a Conor McGregor injury in a promotion. And it can literally happen a month out for the fight, or weeks out for the fight, or a week of the fight, or week before the fight, or hell, even during the fight. It's tough, dude. That's a tough sell. If I'm Conor's managers, that's a tough sell for me. I'm gonna be honest. That's a tough sell for me. Without saying, hey, everybody else is bums. Without saying you need me because I'm a real star and everybody else ain't. I wouldn't want to say that neither. Or not if I'm the UFC. Only MVP Women's is contracted to ESPN, so Jake could come to Paramount. Good call. Very, very good call. Motherfucking you're funny, dude. All right. So Conor McGregor loses. I don't think we'll be seeing him again. But what we will be seeing is Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins tonight on the Monday Night Raw edition. It's gonna be starting in 5 minutes. Fuck, I need to get out. So what was that? I'm pretty sure the cat just fucking broke everything in the world. So let's see. Where the fuck are we? Okay, so details on the club. Let's share this. Why not? Oops. All right. All right. Details on Club WWE annual membership and cost. Wait a minute. Okay. Just making sure. All right, my bad, my bad. I was looking at something. Okay, so WWE Club founding member preview opens this Friday, and here's everything included that you need to sign up. So this is from a promotional material that was sent to fan. This is not even a fucking live. So founding member kit, get a package of unique and exclusive items made just for founding members. First, look at the digital experience. Be among the first fans to explore the club digital experience before the full launch. See some sneak peeks and the new and exclusive content coming to Club WWE. That's where it goes, wink. Bonus points. Founding members earn bonus points from day one to get head start on rewards. Okay, cool. Are you going to pay for my fucking plane ticket to get up there too, dude? Because you come to Corpus like once a year. SummerSlam ticket offer. Founding members get an exclusive ticket offer for SummerSlam. More details to come. So basically, if you pay like a monthly stipend, they're just going to give you like a smaller cost ceiling, right? So like the spectrum for which the cost will remain for a Club WWE member will only really just be shrunk a little bit, or maybe a lot of it, who knows. Secure your spot. Membership is just $99 a year. That's $8.25 per month. Sure, it kind of is, but why would you be a club member if you're not like watching the product? So then there's Netflix, and then there's fucking ESPN Plus or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah, that's crazy work. I don't think this was a long. This is like nothing, right? This is like nothing yet. I'm sorry. This is like, hey, do you trust us enough yet to give us $99? We're not going to give you anything in writing that is worth $99, but you're trusting us at this time. So you being one of the founding members means that when the real shit kicks in, you're going to get like way benefits. Do we believe that? What do y'all think? Matt, do you believe that? I don't know. What do you think? Is this like intriguing enough to try for a year? I mean, $99 is still a lot, but you know, like how much, you know what this is kind of like? You know what I feel like Club WWE is like? And most of you young people won't remember this, so you know, eat shit. But what I remember is this. When I was a kid, they would sell these books. There, if you like The Office, the show The Office, they do a episode on this where like the winner of the Halloween costume contest got this like book, and it's like a coupon book that your city, like somebody in your city would make it and put it together. And so they would go to like restaurants and like fast food chains and like massage parlors, or like maybe like a place where like, you know, all the gym gearhead meatheads go to like buy their protein. And then like everybody would give like a 25% off gift card or 10% off of every $100 you spend or whatever, right? So I was like, oh my God, this thing has $10,000 worth of savings, right? And so then like you would sell them for like baseball stuff, or like if you have like football boosters, this would be like a product you'd sell instead of candy, right? Like if you did candy, that was like the little bitch, like, fundraiser. But when you sold these books, y'all was trying to go to Paris or some shit. Maybe not Paris. Maybe you're trying to go to Fiesta, Texas or some shit. And so these books would say $10,000 worth of savings. What they didn't tell you is that you'd already have to spend like, I think it was like 20 grand to even get those savings or something crazy. I don't know. I'm probably explaining this wrong anyway, but this is what it reminds me of. It's like, hey, spend money so that you don't have to spend a lot of money. But then it's like, well, but I still have to spend the money though, right? It's like, you're not really doing anything for me. How about this? How about you give us a test? How about we do this, WWE? I got it. Yo, I got it. Listen, how about this? Y'all give us a test. All right. Make it super hard. And the contents of the test will be who's watching week to week. And those of us that can complete a test and get 70% or above, because D's are for fools. No, I'm just kidding. No. But whatever the math, fuck it. We got to get 100. Got to get 100. All right. You give us a test, see who's watching weekly and who's paying or not paying and watching those PLEs anyway. I'll tell you what, then we'll let you give us a free ticket to Mania. Front row. We will let you give us a front row ticket to Mania for free. Fine, you don't have to pay for a plane, you fucking cheap bastards. But you make a test, we take it. So instead of giving you $99 so that we can show you our loyalty for a year, we'll show you we're actually watching the program, whether it makes sense or not. I think it's a pretty good fucking thing, right? Shows us we're watching, shows you that we're loyal. And then those are the people that deserve percentages off of their shit. Am I right? If you got Club WWE, listen to this. If you are a Club WWE member or founder, is what they're calling them now, right? For these first groups of people, shouldn't you be the person that like watches the product, or no? Or you could just be anybody, right? What if you're somebody with enough money to want to pay and be around like wrestlers? That's, there's some weirdos out there. Let's be real about that. So now you're just making it so that these people can pay. I don't know, whatever. I'm not even going to get into that part about it. All I'm going to say is that I actually watch the product. I should be the person that gets benefits on ticket deals. You know who supports WWE? Supermax and Machine Gun took their kids to the December show. First one that their towns had in years. Took them, bought tickets right away. Those should be the people that get discounts. People whose markets you left, like Corpus Christi during the Attitude Era when you didn't need our money, right? But then business started going bad and you started, putting people in luchador masks and bringing them south of to Laredo and McAllen and Corpus. But all I'm saying is I would feel much better if I knew family men that actually watch with their kids, love them, and don't just use wrestling as a means to like distract them so they don't have to fucking deal with them. And I'm not judging that either. That's what my parents did. I had good parents, but yeah, they knew from 7 o'clock on Monday to 10 o'clock on Monday, they were not going to be bothered. You know what I mean? Like WWE was my babysitter on fucking Wednesdays or Thursdays on UPN. But anyway, damn, he's saying WWE selling Bulldog cards. Ha ha! Yo, is that what they are? Club WWE also comes with vintage nude Polaroids of the fabulous Moolah. Yep. Also, it gives you no, I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna make the joke with you. I'm not going to, because I still might get invited to WrestleMania. No, I'm just kidding. I won't. Club WWE also comes with a vintage nude God damn it. Why did I read this twice? Jesus, something's wrong with me. Anyway, Club WWE. Also, fuck, I gotta get going. Damn it. All right. Well, I guess that's gonna have to do it. Damn it. Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait till tomorrow for all this because I gotta get going. I have to get. And Charlie Tape can't. God damn it. I'm not gonna say that. All right. Hold on. There's one more thing that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, here it is. So I want y'all to do me a favor when y'all get a chance. Are those of you that are hardcore Rocky fans like I am, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? I don't know how this got messed up. There it goes. For all those that are Rocky fans like I am, David Phillips put out this piece today. Yes, I fucking already have that. On fightsagew.com, or you can check out my recap. 50 years of Rocky, ranking every film in the Rocky franchise. It's a solid piece. I actually finished it while I was at the gym doing cardio. I was like, oh, I'm gonna read this and do like 5 minutes. It was like a warm-up. And yeah, 15 minutes later, I was still there. Or over 15 minutes later, I was still there and finished reading. But yeah, this is a solid read. He goes into each film, and I am telling y'all to read it or telling y'all to check it out at some point this week because David Phillips, I'm going to try to book for this week to talk about the franchise that CM Punk never saw, or at least Rocky 3. It would be weird if he saw every film but Rocky 3. Also, I call cap on that. Also, dude, you're a bitch. I'm sorry. If you're a combat sports fan born before the 90s and you didn't watch Rocky 3, like, how do you even know who Hulk Hogan is or Nirvana or like Metallica or like anything fucking cool at all? Like, I don't know. I don't want to hang out with a guy who's never seen Rocky 3. He's probably gay. Like, as in, he wants to kiss me. No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. Club WWE also comes with a piece of pages to, God damn it, Mex. No, that was Matt. Matt, what the fuck, dude? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And I shared it on screen. So even if you didn't hear what I said, and even though I stopped early, I fucking put it on screen. God damn it. Well, that's a good place to stop because I'll know to cut the show at least 5 minutes early. So appreciate everybody tapping in. Infight FX everywhere. By the way, 25 subscribes this weekend across 3 platforms. Very grateful for that. Not sure if anybody who just started subbing is subbing now, watching. I'm just saying thank you in general to everybody. This is starting to grow a little more than I thought it would. Or I should say a little more than I thought it would with the lack of effort. Right, because all I do is go live. Although I'm trying to clip more, I'm trying to like treat it more like a job. So we'll see. But appreciate everybody tapped in. I will be back tomorrow for sure. You know what? Fuck it. Maybe I'll just go live on YouTube while I'm there at Rob's when we watch the Home Run Derby. I don't know. I'll bring my mics anyway. But all right, check out Infight FX. I'm sorry, fightsagew.com for all your combat sports needs, especially my Raw recap after tonight. Seth and Roman, see what they got cooking for us. Yeah, so until tomorrow, appreciate everybody.